to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, you get to decide whether we discuss a topic or don't. It's time for Keep It Moving. If you want to discuss the topic, say hit the brakes. If not, me and Method Man jump in the minivan and keep it moving. Jalen, we start with a happy birthday for Luka Doncic. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
Luka Doncic turns 21 today. However, when he was asked about that, he said it means nothing to him because in his country, you are an adult when you are 18. Jalen, he said he's going to celebrate just by having some dinner. How did you celebrate your 21st birthday?
Well, my 21st birthday, I was a junior in college. Since it happens in January, we were playing during the Big Ten season, and I don't remember it being anything special. But you know one thing about me and about being black. You don't have to celebrate your birthday in January, because guess what happened in June? I got drafted to the league, and I started celebrating my birthday from June 1994 until right now, February 2020.
Jalen, I have bad news from one of your guys. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
Kelly Oubre has a torn meniscus and could be out for the rest of the season. So I want you just to have a moment to celebrate what he's done so far this season in Phoenix.
So, I always talk about, of course, people want to be a Hall of Famer or All-NBA or All-Star, or everybody wants to be champions. But usually, if you're really fortunate, you become something that's a lore, a veteran. And Kelly Oubre, earlier in his career, was trying to find his way in Washington. Yep. And they gave up on him too early, in my opinion. And I've been saying that on this show. And all of a sudden, you trade him to Phoenix under Monty Williams and Willie Green and playing alongside Booker and with Ayton and Rubio. And then he starts to find himself. He starts to get confident defensively, starts to play meaningful minutes, even though their team is in the lottery. And he started putting up numbers this year. He started dunking on people this year. He started really playing a lot better. He's established himself that a guy that can now be a starter in this league and be really productive. So I'm happy for the way he played this year, and I'm hoping that he get well soon.
Next, I have some really good video from the Combine. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
You are about to see NFL tight end prospect Mitchell Wilcox go through the gauntlet drill. You got ball. Oh, look at that. Yeah, hit right in the. Why is that so funny?
Look at the dude with the white hat on. Look at the dude with the white hat on at the bottom of the screen on the baseline. He saw it coming. He saw it coming.
He did.
Now, y'all messing up my stock. Y'all messing up my stock.
Does his perseverance raise his draft stock? The guy in the white hat is funny. Why is this so funny?
Well, he's the kind of guy, if he gets hit in the face with a football, he continues to compete.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Even though they wear a helmet in the sport that he
determination.
plays.
I have even better video from the Combine. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
The brakes.
Arizona State University's punter, Michael Turk, bench pressed 225 pounds 25 times. That's more than any wide receiver. That's more than any tight end. Jalen, how many times could you bench press 225 pounds? And be honest.
I'm not sure. I got to try it, but not as many times as him. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But how about this, Jacoby? For a punter to be bench pressing more than any wide receiver at the Combine, that is extremely impressive.
Oh, yeah, I'm drafting. I realize he doesn't use his arms, but I don't care. I'm drafting him. Whatever. I'll take Michael Turk. We'll figure something out.
Well, he about to get the Sebastian Janikowski treatment going in the first round.
Chase Young thinks Chase Young is good at football. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Chase Young is a terrific player. And if you see how the Bosa brothers are being disruptive in the NFL, I think he's going to fall along the lines of how productive they've been. And as a Michigan Wolverine, I saw this up close and personal way too many times. Keep it moving.
Okay.
We keep it moving. We keep it moving.
The Chiefs, Chris Jones got some bad news. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
We'll keep it moving for now. We got to see what happens with Mahomes. Then we worry about signing everybody else.
We keep it moving.
Nick Nurse is more than just a great basketball coach.
Hit the brakes.
You know what? I love Nick Nurse so much. Not only is he a champion, not only does he have the Raptors exceeding expectations, look at him getting off the plane. He got the headphones on and the guitar. He's got the 6th string slinged across his back. He said he's working on about 4 tracks so he can do a musical performance next month. Are we going to have a road trip to go see Nick Nurse lay down on the 6th string?
Absolutely. I love to go watch him, perform. Now let's see if we can put him with James Dolan and they can create a concert.
Knicks fans would love to see James Dolan contact Nick Nurse because he would really help out the franchise. Jalen, the Michigan Wolverines lost last night. They have a big game this weekend against Ohio State. We will preview that and much more right after this.
The Helpful Place.
Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby, live from Pier 17 in the South Street Seaport District of Manhattan, and brought to you by the wonderful people of Chase Bank. Jalen, something happened that has not happened all season in the National Basketball Association. The Minnesota Timberwolves rested D'Angelo Russell on Sunday, and the NBA fined them a whopping $25,000. Jalen, do you think this will dissuade teams from resting healthy players moving forward?
No, it's really head-scratching by the ball club, and here's why. Earlier in the year, Doc Rivers was talking about his team load managing, and he said the wrong thing that kind of wasn't in line with what Kawhi Leonard said, and their team got fined. So that was another situation where a team got fined basically for load managing. Here's the reality of it. Teams encourage it. Players want to do it and acknowledge and accept it. So you can dress it up any way you want to. The bottom line is players today don't take pride in playing a full schedule.
No.
And when you realize you can still get paid for those games, when you also realize all the media does is count rings and achievements, you're like, well, it's a Wednesday night. It's February. All people are going to do is judge me on the playoffs anyway. So now all of a sudden that trickles down from the elite players in the game to all the players in the game, to where you have a team like Minnesota who's been in the lottery perennially, basically. Yeah, they made the playoffs a couple of years ago. I know that.
Yep.
But for the most part, a team that goals aren't happening this year. Karl-Anthony Towns is dealing with some injuries. You just add D'Angelo Russell, who's an all-star with New Jersey, got traded to Golden State, got traded to you, and then you cheat the fans by not playing him when he's healthy. I understand the $25,000 fine, but that's really on the team for just putting themselves in that position.
Well, it really begs the question this. It's like, oh, you're going to fine me? Well, guess what? We'll do what LeBron did last night. We'll just pretend, make up some injury that maybe you have or maybe you don't have or maybe everyone's got banged up a little bit. So how can they stop teams from just associating resting players with injuries?
You're not putting that toothpaste back in the tube because the public a lot of times designates if that's acceptable by their favorite athletes. And nowadays, the audience feels like it's okay to take a day off. They have bought into that theory. I, don't want to show my age and say, oh, back in my day, fans and the players wanted to show up for work.
Just do it.
I wanted to have a consecutive games played streak. Now it's, if I was him, I'd miss a game too. It's weird because now we have this privilege to believe that the players should be able to be around the league 15 or 20 healthy years. where that's not usually how this sports thing works. You're playing against the best of the best. Everybody dreams of this dream. If you're there for 3 years, you're lucky. If you're there for even more of that, you're even fortunate. So now that teams and players have found loopholes to elongate their careers, I can't be mad at it.
Jalen, I just want to point something out here. Do you know who doesn't load manage? Jalen and Jacoby. You don't see us taking shows off. You don't see me going on vacation. You don't see me calling in sick. We'll be here every single day at 2 o'clock on ESPN2. Moving on. Jalen, your old stomping grounds, Indianapolis, the Blazers and the Pacers faced off. It was a close game. Miles Turner hit a big three at the end to seal it for the Pacers, but it was that guy, Victor Oladipo, who in the third quarter had 12 of his 15 points, had a little energy, a little scoring, looked a little bit like the old Victor Oladipo from before the injury. He struggled a bit coming back from this injury. Do you think that he will be up to full strength come playoff time?
Well, you'll know when he's back because you saw that last layup for Victor Oladipo. When he has his bounce, that's a bang Seagull Street right there. That's not a layup. That's somebody want to jump up if they want to, you're gonna get banged on. That's one of those. I remember sitting on the baseline when Michigan was playing at Indiana, and he went coast to coast and got one of those right in front of me. So that's when he's back. Indiana are amongst a couple of teams that to me are clearly not the Bucks, who've distinguished themselves as the best team in the conference. The Celtics, to me, have slotted themselves as second, and the Raptors play the hardest, and they're the defending champions. After that, the Heat, the Pacers, the Sixers, it really depends on matchups, in my opinion, if those teams really gonna have a legit chance to advance, and injury. And so now that he is back, hopefully he can play at a level that puts them in position to meet their goals.
The Pacers are a little bit tricky. Like, they were really, after the All-Star break, they lost some games, and they've been kind of hot lately. It's just hard to tell who they are, but they will be a hard out come playoff time. You know, that Pacers game I watched another game too, Jalen Rose. It was the Michigan Wolverines against Wisconsin. And I can't lie, I stopped watching at halftime. The Wolverines had like 27 points at halftime. It just seemed like Wisconsin was hitting everything. It wasn't very competitive from the Maize and Blue. Jalen, what do you see? I know you watched this one too. We were texting.
Shout to Xavier Simpson. He was out there balling at the point guard, continuing to get to the bucket, finish. He kept us in the game. But that gentleman that you see right there, Trice, he was the problem. I think he had 28 points. Their point guard, he was balling. Ford was knocking down threes. Trotter was knocking down threes. It was one of those games, as somebody that played in the Big Ten, and I remember going to Purdue and they had Gene Cady and the big dog, and then going to Ohio State and they had Jim Jackson, and going to Indiana and they had Bobby Knight, going to Minnesota, they had Voshan Leonard, going to Wisconsin, they had Michael Finley and Tracy Webster. Like, that's what this reminds me of now. When you go around the Big Ten, Michigan State had Sean Resper. It's so many teams that are going to make the NCAA tournament. Allegedly up to 10. 10 Big Ten teams.
I saw that. You start looking at the Big Ten. You're like,
tournament.
which team is not a tournament team? And you get down to the very bottom of the standings, like, all right, finally, this team is not a tournament team.
Hey, man, Wisconsin, they came on the road. They took that win. That was a quality dub. I can't be mad at them.
Well, Jalen, Jerry Jones didn't just update us on the Dak Prescott situation. He updated us on what he thinks about in the shower. We'll hear from Jerry Jones right after this.